There's so many young people who, with my passion for the youth, who I would want to reach to the level you are. Eloquence and ability and experience. But unfortunately in Kenya, we're having a down road for the youth. What is the problem? I mean, you have been able to live in Kenya. You've been able to work out of Kenya. What is the problem we're having with the Kenyan youth? We're having a lot of depression, suicide, like mental. What is it? What is it? What is it, Carol?
I mean, it's sad, and I totally agree with you. Sometimes I get opportunities to speak to young people. Sometimes my former, nuns, I went to a Loreto school, and sometimes the nuns are constantly calling me. They say, Caroline, we want you to come and speak to the girls. We want you to come and speak to young people because something is amiss, and we really feel like maybe they need to connect with someone who's young and help them. And I would love to do that quite often. Sometimes my schedule doesn't quite allow me because I'm in and out of Nairobi. But one of the reasons I think, Janet, is because I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect between the young people and their parents. And this is my limited understanding. I feel like most of the parents realized the value of education and the value of their children getting the very best in life, and they spend lots of their energy working so that they can provide this kind of lifestyle for their children. But in the process, they forgot that children also need attention. Children need someone to speak to. And so kids went to school, and most of their parents were absent because they were busy providing for them. And so then the teachers were left with this massive task, and I totally applaud the teachers in Kenya. I really feel like they take on a lot more of the parenting, because this burden is mostly left to the teachers and religious leaders.
And the maid.
And the maid and the house help, because most of the Kenyans can afford house helps. And so what happens is the parent gets halfway shocked, like when the child is 14, 15, and 16, and all of a sudden they've got a voice. And now the parent is like, wait a minute, what happened? What do you want? Why do you want this? Why are you saying this? So the parent now all of a sudden has missed out on bonding with their child or getting to know their child. And now the child is a young adult, a teenager, a young adult, all suddenly. And now the parent is like, wait a minute, what do young adults need? What do teenagers need in this century? I know, because now you realize, yes, they are a teenager, but they're not a teenager during your times. The times have changed. We are in the times of the tablets. And so people who grew up like our parents, your generation, they don't understand how harmful the internet can be. The other day I was looking at a young person that was trotted on Twitter. And the mom had no idea until the child actually killed themselves, because someone was bullying her on social media. But because of the limited understanding that you have of your generation, someone could only, bully you in school physically or something. But these things have changed. The bullying is now, exactly. Someone is like, how did she get bullied on social media? I remember one time having a conversation with my mom, and she couldn't understand. She was like, you mean someone can be bullied on social media? I was like, yes. Everything has got a positive side and a negative side. And so I think parents just need to be more attentive to the needs of their children and to make sure they're growing with their children. And they also need, another thing I feel, Janet, is we need to be honest. The world is changing too fast. Okay? So the other day we were talking about Facebook. Now it's Instagram and Snapchat. So that's the thing. So you may not know everything, but you need to really be at least aware. Some level of understanding that there's social media, there's this, and as a parent, you can be able to pay attention to your child and say, wait a minute, yes, you have a tablet. What are you doing on the tablet? What are you watching on the tablet? What is happening? Just not allowing, because the social media is full of so many things, and part of it could be negative and positive. The last thing I would also say on that question is we need to begin to be aware of mental health issues. I think we are also coming from a country where there's a lot of stigma, and people don't talk about mental issues, mental illness. And so if someone comes up and says, I think I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that, you're sort of put down and you go like, oh no, let's just take care of it. Don't just, manage your situation. But I think we need to be able to accept those situations and provide support. The most important thing is, if I know what you're suffering from, I connect you to a support.
But when you say provide support, like if somebody's dealing with mental health, like we said, there's such a disconnect from the parenting or from the parents to the young people. Where do they go for support? Because somewhere like here, we've got the NHS, we've got the services available. In Kenya, if somebody's suffering from mental health, where can they go?
I know. I want to say that the best thing we can do now is in the schools, I know they've set up counselors. They have psychological support. I also work for an amazing organization, and I know many other organizations have this counseling support as part of your insurance. Okay, so most employers in Kenya do provide medical insurance. And if you're very keen, if you're a viewer, if you go and read exactly what you're entitled to in your medical health insurance, there is counseling facilities, different hospitals or different counselors that you may want. And some organizations, you can do it through your HR, or you can do it anonymously. So you can go into a hospital, call the number, and ask to speak to a counselor. So I want to believe most of the institutions, even the institutions of higher learning, I used to be a student leader in one of the universities in JKU where I was. So I know we had those facilities. If students want to reach out, there is a student council, there is also a dean of students, so you can actually go there and say, I need this form of support, and they'll connect you to the right counselor.
Thank you so much, Engineer Caroline. I'm so excited to have you here. Of course, when I look at the work we do on Face of Kenya, I look at our first group, Face of Kenya UK 2013, and I'm so excited to know that so many of them are moving on and doing a lot of work. Now, we are going to be having you talking to my people about the youth in the United Kingdom, about how you manage to be where you are. Talk to me about your, I call it the growth phase, whereby you had from high school, university, and to doing your masters. What did you have to do as a person to succeed there? What kind of characters? We call it that face, I call it face growth. What did you have to do there? Because there's a lot of viewers who will be watching us wanting to know, how have you gotten so quickly, so up so quickly? What is the virtues you carry with you that carries you?
Thank you, Janet. I think I would like to start by telling young people that being smart is great, or being good at what you do is great. But more often than not, I've come to realize that it doesn't keep you on the job. Soft skills, character is what keeps you on the job and what lets you grow. Many times when organizations hire you, when you're a fresh graduate, they hire you based on your academic skill. Because at that point, you don't have lots of experience. Even if you've had training programs or internships, that's not really solid experience. So many times that is where your papers come in. You present to them your papers, I've got a master's in this, I've got a bachelor's degree in this. And so at that point, they're employing you based on your skill in terms of academic. What I've learned on the job is that people who've got soft skills, by soft skills I mean character, someone that is of integrity, someone that can be trusted at the job, someone that can be given more and more responsibilities, someone that's respectful, someone that is able to do an assignment not just good, but do it well, excellently, go beyond and be able to provide solutions. So what I like to tell young people is being smart will take you this far. But having the soft skills and the character will take you this far. So there is a season, once you've got 2-3 years of experience, the people now who begin to carve their way up the ladder are people that can be trusted with opportunities. Because I've also met older people who tell me, Caroline, I don't want to give a young person an opportunity. I gave this young person an opportunity, and this is what they did. They embarrassed me. They didn't show up to work on time, or they showed up to work drunk, or they didn't do an assignment well. We had to repeat the assignment. So we also have young people who want the benefits without putting in the work. And that is why I like telling the young people, for you to go ahead, it's going to cost you diligence. You need to do the work. I take my job seriously. I'm not just there sitting, waiting to be paid at the end of the month. I get that opportunity. I'm grateful for it, and I do it. And so when you do well, you get trusted with more. So I think we need to start encouraging our young people to develop soft skills. And most of the common soft skills for me I would mention 3. 1, being trustworthy. Are you someone that your line manager or your boss can say, excuse me, I'd like you to handle this before tomorrow, and they actually trust that you will do? Or do they need to give you like a week before so that they kind of have a week of an allowance? If Janet doesn't do it very well, at least I've got a week. Are you that kind of a person? The second thing also is timekeeping. It sounds like a simple thing, but I'm shocked these days how young people don't understand the concept of keeping time at work. Your line manager calls for a meeting and somehow someone is somewhere else trying to make it on time. I've seen even interviews where people don't make it on time to an interview. And you can imagine the first impression I'm getting as an employer. I'm thinking, I'm recruiting you. On your day of interview, you can't even make it on time. How will you manage when the actual job comes in? Will you ever make it on time anywhere? If you're supposed to lead a meeting, and I tell young people, especially when you're starting your work, even if you're not the convener of a meeting, at least be there on time. Ask the convener of the meeting, would you like some help? What would you like me to help you with? There must be something. Maybe they want to set up the room correct. Maybe they want to issue out some booklets, some flyers for the meeting. You've already introduced yourself. So if it's the CEO who is the convener or the personal assistant to the CEO, they begin to see what you're actually doing. You're paying attention to what is happening. You're providing, because the one thing I tell young people, the advantage that we have is you don't have extra responsibilities, especially if you're fresh from campus. You don't have a spouse, you don't have children, so you kind of have that time. So you can show your employer your willingness to actually go the extra mile and provide the other things that not anyone else is willing to provide. So timekeeping is another one. And the last one for me, I would actually just call it diligence. Just diligence. Just be good at what you do. And when you're given something, just do it, and do it well. Do it on time. If you don't understand the assignment, go back to the person, the manager. Say, excuse me, Caroline, I know this is what you told me to do. I'm not quite sure I get it. I keep telling young people, especially in countries that I go and I have some staff that are reporting to me and they're new to the job, I tell them there is no manager that will ever get mad at you because you came to them to ask them a question. I will get mad if you do something and then you do something wrong because you didn't quite understand and you didn't ask me. So it's always good for you to go to the manager and say, I this is what you told me. And sometimes I tell my teams, because sometimes I give an assignment to all of you, if you're feeling a bit embarrassed or you're shy, you don't want to ask the question in front of everyone else, that's perfectly fine. But once the meeting is adjourned, once everybody has left, just come back to me, say, Caroline, do you have a minute? I just wanted to be sure that what you explained is what I've understood. So really those 3 key things for me. Just be trusted. Be someone that can be trusted with an assignment. Be someone that is actually time conscious of people, respect people's time, so show somewhere on time. And the last thing, just be diligent. When you're given an assignment, do it and do it well.
Well, viewers, when we mentor, we are so proud to look back and see the work that has come out of it. I remember in 2014, Caroline asked me, should I stay in the United Kingdom? I've got this job. Should I go to Africa? Should I stay? And that conversation happened. And you ended up in Africa. I'm glad you listened. Because looking at the 7 years of what has come out of you, it's amazing, Carol. Well, viewers, you've heard that is Engineer Caroline Muturi, and Caroline is so close to my heart. I feel like I have, when we say Face of Kenya and they call me Mama, President Face of Kenya, but they call me Mama. I have so many young people who call me Mama in USA. Those young people are doing just amazing on the Face of Kenya forum. I'm not even there, but right now I was looking at the video that was being created today by Rispa and George in Texas, and I'm so proud of what those young people and what they are doing. I'm looking at Germany. I'm looking at somebody like Mercy Oduma, who has now got her own, promotion for business promotion. And she's doing so well educating women into business. There's so many young people globally that just need you, viewers out there, to be a mentor. Because for any young person to move from their, high school to go to career, that phase growth or that season, they need mentors. And we are going to ask you, for somebody like Engineer Caroline to stand there, she's not standing alone. She's had mentors around her, picking her up, pointing her to the right direction. Don't stay seated. Face of Kenya, we're doing the Ed Smart project, whereby the Ed Smart project is an education project. We are coordinating mentors, we are coordinating young people, and joining them together to make sure that if we pick the young people, we know where they're going. And the soft skills, as we said, is a huge need globally. It's not just in Kenya that young people need soft skill. It's even here. Having come from a teaching background, I know the need of soft skill. Together we can do it. But thank you so much, viewers.
Yeah, the advice I would give is working hard, being very respectful, never giving up, and just work as hard as anyone else and even more. Those three things I think is the best. And
you said you started playing football when you're young. How did you balance your academic work and your career progression?
The balance of my schoolwork and my football was through my school. It was called Forest School in northeast London. They allowed me to basically miss 3-4 days of school because they knew that I would be able to catch up on the work. So it was about having that relationship with my family, my teachers, and my friends as well, catching up from the notes. It's about building basically a bubble around you of people that can lift you up when you're very low. And that's how I done it, really, yeah.
So what can you tell a 40-year-old or a 30-year-old who wants to play football as a professional career? What's there for them in terms of what's in this football world? Just 40 years from now, it might apply really to someone missing a dream at some point, but also how can you get back to that as well?
I'd say that you have to look at the career of a footballer and see the span of their professional career. And you would say that at the age of 40, realistically, they're retired. But it's not about the age, almost. I would say you could live your dreams through other people, if you say. You could live it through football still, through coaching and developing other people. That's not just to say you yourself can not be a footballer anymore. You could still be a footballer, but through other people, teaching them the ways you think, the ways you would like to implement a team. So the dream will never die, really. It will be always there, but there'll be different routes around it. So I would say coaching is the best way through it.